How you doing, guys? Got Jansen here. In this very special video, I've put together an extensive list to show you everything you need to know about conversational hypnosis, everything you need to know about advanced conversational hypnosis, which is what we call ACH, and everything you need to know about therapy. Now, this video has been designed even if you're starting out in the industry as a hypnotherapist and you want to make some drastic changes to your therapy business, or as a therapist, to not only speed up results with clients, pretty much guarantee results with clients, but give you a better place as a therapist or a better system to follow to make sure you are getting results and also earn more money as a therapist. But it also can be for the seasoned pros out there who are maybe a little bit tired of the traditional model, using the scripts, using the techniques, having to drill language patterns and all that stuff. But before we get into this, guys, make sure you stay to the end, because the last 2 points I'm going to make is not only going to pull all the ideas together, but they are really the biggest secrets I have to mastering this thing we call conversational hypnosis, ACH, and therapy. So, guys, without further ado, let's begin. So firstly, let's look at and define what we mean by hypnosis versus hypnotherapy versus therapy. There's a lot of courses out there. There's a lot of people teaching stuff. A lot of people have learnt this stuff. And I just want to throw my hat into the ring and show you what I mean when we talk about ACH and conversational hypnosis. So you look at the more hypnosis that's more traditional. This is all based on scripts, language patterns, techniques. So you might learn the regressions, you might learn the visualizations, you might learn the timelines, you learn the language patterns, and all of this, the way that I see it, and definitely what people around us are saying, this is very forced. So if you find yourself forcing clients down a script, a language pattern, a technique, you're forcing the language patterns, all of this sort of stuff, you'll realize there's a lot of teething problems with that, which I'll point out and give you an alternative to get away from those things. So hypnosis is more the scripts and the language patterns. Like I said, that's focused on getting the client into trance. When I talk about therapy, I define it as client breakthroughs. And I'll make a big point of this. And I'll say this right at the start. You do not have to put a client into hypnosis in order to get therapy. You do not have to put a client into trance in order to have a breakthrough. So the first point I'm making is learning hypnosis won't teach you the therapy. If you want to become a brilliant therapist, you need to learn the therapy. So that's what I mean versus hypnosis versus hypnotherapy. You know the names in their therapy. Hypnotherapy, you're still learning all the basic scripts and language patterns, the techniques, the force things, and you're not really learning a lot about the therapy. So remember, guys, when it comes to therapy, that's all clients are paying for. Clients are never going to say to you, hey, Scott, can I pay you to go into trance? They're going to say, no, Scott, I've got a smoking issue, anxiety issues, weight issues. I need help with this, and that's where the therapy comes in. All in all, guys, I'm going to make this point a lot throughout this entire presentation. Scripts, language patterns, techniques, forcing clients down certain avenues, certain things that you've prepared earlier are really symptom versus payoff. We know this is more root cause. Everyone's taught that problems exist in the unconscious mind. This is 100% true. But then we go along and we use scripts. We use the techniques. The script might say at the top, stop smoking script, or it might have this regression is best for anxiety clients. And already you should see the issue with that, okay? If a client's problem exists in the unconscious mind, how can you prepare for this stuff? You're preparing for the symptom. You can't prepare a hypnosis script for someone to quit smoking. Why? Because you have no idea what the payoff is. And a payoff is just my version of what is the root cause, but there's a lot more intricate details into that. The payoff really is the unconscious mind sticks with the problem or keeps this problem because the payoff it's receiving, it agrees with. Now, unless you go in as the therapist to do some sort of therapeutic maneuver or therapeutic strategy and offer the unconscious mind something different to create another payoff, the unconscious mind has no reason to change. So if you're using a technique that says stop smoking technique or anxiety script, you're fixing the symptom. We all know this. So if you are struggling with clients who are not getting the breakthroughs and not having the results or the success that they should be having, this is because you're treating the symptom, okay? And this really comes down to like a shiny object things, guys. There's not really a lot of new stuff being taught out there, okay? A script is a script is a script. I think a lot of people get lost in, I'm going to learn this new hypnosis technique, this new hypnotherapy technique because of some new mentor that's came into the scene. They've got a lot of social media followings. They've got a lot of marketing behind their name, but it's really just teaching the same stuff. Hypnosis and hypnotherapy haven't really changed, okay? The therapy portion has changed a lot, but it's just unfortunately not a lot of people learn that stuff, okay? So all in all, guys, if you're struggling with clients to actually get results, you need to learn the therapy. So what do you do instead of just learning the same hypnosis technique, the same hypnotherapy technique, going down the shiny object, which is really just the same course being promoted with another name attached to it? What do you do instead was very, very simple. You learn to do the therapy first, not the hypnosis. So what do we mean by this? When I was working with my smokers, I used to do the therapy first, and then the hypnosis became a byproduct. And the reason that is way more powerful, guys, and the way you want to structure your sessions is because the byproduct trance that is created by the unconscious mind, which means it will set up the exact right trance or hypnosis, thing we know about, the thing we call hypnosis, the exact same right way, right depth, right everything, because the unconscious mind is controlling the whole thing. And this is way more powerful, way more responsible for your clients because it's coming from them. If, however, you go down the hypnosis technique, you're forcing a client into like a relaxation or a timeline or a regression or something, even down a script. You're telling them, hey, you do it this way. And one thing we know about clients and people, they don't generally follow along. So instead, we do the therapy first. We call this untying knots. We untie all the knots. We get the mind really, really clean. And then if the unconscious mind deems it appropriate to put a client into hypnosis, it'll happen. But the cool thing is, hypnosis might not even happen. And that's just as good. I always think of it like this. Your client or my client knows more about them. Their unconscious mind knows more about breakthroughs than I ever would. Why don't I just put their unconscious mind in charge? It's not the old adage that, you just tell the unconscious mind what to do. The unconscious mind is extremely stubborn. You guys have probably noticed this with your clients. Clients not changing is because the unconscious mind is very stubborn. You don't just get to the end of your script or the end of your technique and say, okay, you're fixed. That's not how the mind works. So concentrate on doing the therapy first, guys, not the hypnosis. Then use secondary gainers to hypnosis that's created naturally, what we call organically, and utilize that. What this does also, guys, it kills resistance. If you find your clients are resistant to go into hypnosis or resistant to have a therapeutic breakthrough, do the therapy first. This also stops something called dirty trances. What dirty trances is if you stimulate a client's problem, which you should do by asking them about the problem and have a good dialogue about what it is, they can bring all that negative stuff into this place that should be healing, which is hypnosis. Thus, you start to dirty the hypnosis, you start to dirty the trance. And we also know this as symptom versus payoff. If you go into a session saying, okay, my client wants to quit smoking, here's my stop smoking script, you're fixing the symptom. You have no idea what the real problem is because you haven't investigated it properly. It's not about guessing. It's not about assuming that all problems exist because of anxiety or this problem exists because of childhood traumas. A lot of people that talk about that stuff, that's just not the case because how could we know this stuff? This stuff isn't quantifiable. Not every client is the same. So if you want to stop resistance, you want to stop clients not having breakthroughs, you want to speed things up, do the therapy first, guys, and you do this by finding the payoff and getting rid of the symptom, obviously. Next, look at force versus natural. Now, you find these guys, all these things are going to link together, and a lot of it's going to overlap because it's really the same problem that gets repeated over and over. So force versus natural. Forcing a client down a script, a technique, a strategy that you deem is applicable to them. That's the key word, that you deem. You create resistance, okay? Another way is resistance. Clients don't follow along. If you're forcing a client into a regression, what if they can't visualize? What if they can't see a scene? What if they can't relax? What do you do then? If you've set up all this stuff beforehand, which is all the prep work, and they start to resist this stuff, it's because you're forcing them. So what do we do instead? We're going to start looking at the opposite. Instead, you want to utilize clients' natural trances and resources and response, the stimulus, the response to the therapy. Like I said, we do the therapy first. From that, trance gets created, and it's a healing trance because all the knots are being untied. There's no dirtiness to it, so to speak. And a client is going into the place where they need to go, and their mind is healing them the way it knows best. It knows way more than you. So if you're forcing a client, you're going to get resistant. If you're forcing a client to follow and they don't follow along, what do? And again, you shouldn't be prepping for all this stuff. You want to utilize clients' natural trances and resources. There's no prep needed. There's no need to prepare scripts and techniques and symptoms, okay? If you're preparing for all this stuff and you're saying, I know what's best for my client and I know how to heal my client, what are you doing? You are guessing. Remember, your client's problem exists in the unconscious mind. We already learned this. They know nothing about their real problem, their payoff. It's been hidden from them. That's why they've come and see you. So if you go in making assumptions, you're guessing, they're guessing, and no wonder it takes so long to heal just a small part of the problem. And ultimately, the problem ended up just coming back anyway, because we call that spinning around the symptom, because you're fixing the wrong thing. So instead, you're learning how to utilize a client's natural trust and resources, and there's no prepping. But how can you prepare for something you have no idea about? Your client would be just as confused about their problem as you are. No prep needed, guy. This takes the pressure off you. Could you imagine never having to sit there and read through your big folder of scripts again, or learning another technique of 10 steps, or learning more learning more language patterns, or having to drill new visualization techniques? All of that stuff is preparing you to treat the symptom. Techniques don't solve problems. Natural resource that the unconscious mind presents to you in utilization is what creates therapy, is what creates breakthroughs. And Erickson was talking about this many years ago, but a lot of people got caught in the language and all that sort of stuff. This is the real key to therapy, guys. Techniques versus principle, symptom versus payoff, guys. Techniques solve symptoms. Principles solve payoff. So what do I mean by principles? You've got to ask yourself, well, if I've got a regression or I've got a script, are all clients the same? Now, I don't know about you, but the problems I have, you may have as well, guys. But the reason for my problem is going to be vastly different for you. Not everybody is the same. Everybody is not identical. Everybody has their own likes, reasons, whys, hates, dislikes, all of that stuff. If you go into a session, putting all people together and applying a technique, you're saying that every client is the same, and that is simply not the case. So whenever you pull out your script, your stop smoking script, your anxiety script, it's not only full of symptoms because it's saying things like you're a non-smoker, you can breathe healthier now, you no longer smell of cigarettes. That's all symptom because that's why clients come in. You don't know what to solve. I don't know about you, but in my decades of being a therapist, I never help anyone quit smoking, ever. But I fixed all the real problems, the payoffs that caused the smoking to go away naturally. It's a big reason. It's a big thought experiment around that. That's the therapy we're talking about, guys. Not all clients are the same, so you can't prep for this stuff. And remember, it triggers resistance. All techniques trigger resistance, they're fixing the symptom, and all clients are not the same. It's impossible to say they are. So instead, no prep, guys. You want to have something called, you want to be relying on principles. By being flexible and using principles in conversation hypnosis and ACH, you have unlimited options. So what we're basically saying here is you want to take one step at a time and create this stuff after each so-called question, after each part of the therapy, after each minute or second or 10 seconds or 10 minutes with a client. You're preparing the stuff as you go along, and you're learning to be really flexible with this stuff. Now, why is this important? Because what happens if you start reading this technique script or this symptom script or using this technique, you get to the end of it and client looks at you and says, well, I feel the exact same. What do? Well, the adage is that you just keep repeating the same thing. And I'll talk about that very soon and using the repetition model. But again, doing the wrong thing over and over won't make it right, okay? So if you're still preparing for this stuff, you've got to ask yourself, why? What can I prepare for? I have no idea what I'm going to be solving. And guys, you won't have any idea what you're going to be solving until you've actually solved it. And you can look back in retrospect and go, oh, that's the reason why they had this. Or that's what the payoff is. That's what the big picture thinking is. All stuff that you need to learn how to do, of course. But preparing for this stuff, you're setting yourself up for failure because not all clients are the same. You're triggering resistance, and you have to understand symptom and payoff. Remember, you cannot prepare for this stuff, guys. Symptom and payoff. Hopefully I've made that point clear. A script is a script is a script. It doesn't matter who wrote it, guys. Doesn't matter how much you paid for it. Doesn't matter who your mentor is. Doesn't matter how many times you downloaded. Take a step back and look at this stuff logically. A script is setting you up for treating symptoms. You can't have a stop smoking script because you're not treating the smoking. You can't have an anxiety script because you're not treating the anxiety. You can't have a regression script because now you're forcing techniques onto a client who you have no idea what their symptom is. This old idea that regressions fix this and timelines fix this and you have to use a visualization for this. This is all conclusions and guessing, and it just boxes you in a corner, guys, to not be flexible. We know being flexible is extremely important as a therapist. So the script approach, as we learned in the first set of points here, follows the hypnosis approach first. You know, in a script, it might take 60 minutes. 45 of those minutes is just on the hypnosis part, 15 minutes of therapy. I know that if I'm sitting with a client, I'd rather have a whole hour to do the therapy than the hypnosis is just a byproduct. And even then, I don't even need it. I don't rely on it. I've never used hypnosis in my life, but therapy is what clients are paying for. So if your script is a script, guys, doesn't matter who wrote it, how good you are with your words, how appropriate it is for your client, you're fixing the symptom. The name is at the very top of your script, stop smoking script, anxiety script. It says it in the title, guys. And it also follows the hypnosis approach first. And if we follow the hypnosis approach first, we start dealing with all these points I've talked about first, symptoms and payoff. Prep time for what, guys? What's the point? Okay, all that time spending for prep to have a client sit down in front of you, not follow along, you fixing the symptom, them leave your session going, well, that didn't work. What do you do then? Okay, again, symptoms and payoff, guys. So let's look at multiple versus mini sessions, because you might be saying, well, Scott, I get them in, I read the script, and I just have the, you know, like the repetition approach, and I give them the audio and the homework. Let me show you why that might not be the best thinking to have. What do I mean by multiple versus mini? Mini sessions are what's needed is basically instead of having to go through a whole session with a client, all the setup, the trance that normal people go through, the therapy, all the finishing the therapy, all that sort of stuff, which maybe take an hour, then you send your client home and they have audios and homework to listen to and follow. Then you get them in and again and again and again and again. Repeating the same thing over and over will not make it right. Okay. If you're learning to drive a car and you do the wrong thing, you keep on, let's say, steering the car into the gutter, doing that over and over and over won't make the car drive right. It won't make you pass your test. It won't make you a good driver. Repeating the wrong thing over and over or the incorrect thing over and over will not make it right. Okay. Also, using the repetition model is the symptom. If you have to see your client multiple times, you're fixing the symptom. If you have to see your clients multiple times, you're not getting the payoff. Adding an audio and stuff like that, because, and I've heard this, people say, well, there's a percentage of the therapy or the hypnosis that I do in the session. The other part comes from the audio and the homework. If you're creating an audio full of symptoms, what's the point? And my idea is, and my thinking is, well, if I fix the real problem in the session, why do I need an audio? An audio is not going to enhance the result of the problem. Once the result's there, the unconscious mind can change very, very quick. From a business point of view, that whole repetition thing and getting a client in multiple times does not scale. And we'll talk about more from the business point, because I do want to include this because it's a big part of it. But utilizing the repetition model is not the way. You want to be fixing the problem in the session. Now, we call these mini sessions. Instead of sending a client home 5 times, which the way I think about it is like you're sending a client home 4 times a failure, then on the 5th one, ultimately it should work. That's the bad thing that most therapists have. What we want to do is, let's say I go through the entire therapy model that we adopt, and it takes, let's say, 10 or 15 minutes. I do some testing. I find out what's left. I find out what not to there. I find if it's any more clashing reality. These are all therapeutic terms. And then if I deem that there's more work that needs to be done, instead of sending them home, I do it right there. I might see my lawyers to quit smoking, and I might do 10 mini sessions in an hour, 5 mini sessions in half an hour. So instead of sending my client home 5 times and getting him to come back, I do it then and there. Why? Because the context is already created. They're already in a place where they're going to get therapy. They're already in a place where therapy can begin, resources can emerge, all of this good stuff. Why would I send them home and have to start all over again? Okay. Time is not of the essence here, guys. Repetition model, do the mini session. So it's like doing little mini therapy sessions, as many as needs to be done, which ultimately look like one long session, but you're getting so much work done without ever sending a client home. What does this mean for you in business just for now? The only thing you got to realize is clients pay for speed. Clients pay more to get the results quickly. Could you imagine how frustrated your client's going to be having to send them home each time, come all the way back? That's 5 hours of their life, plus all the prep work you have to do, all the extracurricular stuff you've got to set up. Ultimately, you could be charging a good amount of money and having to see 10 hours worth of client care or 10 hours with your clients. Break that down, look at the maths and economics. You're not paying yourself that much. Whereas you do mini sessions, it ultimately just one session, but it's divided up into little individual sessions, okay? So instead, we want to utilize the context, like I said, of existing trances, multiple mini sessions instead of just one long session. You do multiple mini therapy sessions all in the one, guys, okay? We use something called processing. We don't talk about audios. I'm never giving out homework on audios because I'm interrupting one of the most important parts of therapy, which is processing. Processing, believe it or not, is what happens to your clients after the therapy when they start sort of piecing the puzzle together. That's them actually doing therapy on themselves. So you might think, well, hang on, Scott. So you're telling me my client can go home, keep doing therapy on themselves, and I don't have to be there because processing will do this? Absolutely. And what audios and homework do is interrupt this processing. Processing is the unconscious mind in charge doing what it does best, which is heal, and you don't even have to be there. Every time you are there intervening as a therapist, you're not just intervening, you're sometimes interrupting. The unconscious mind knows what to do, but you've got to put it in charge and you allow processing to happen, guys. Okay. Now let's talk about symptoms of solving symptoms. So how do you know you're only solving the symptoms? What things will you notice as a therapist that could pinpoint to you and make you realize, wow, no wonder it's taken me so long with clients. No wonder I have to sit there and prep everything. No wonder I keep learning the same technique and over and nothing's really changing with my clients. It's because you're solving the symptom. We call this spinning around the symptom. If you're not getting a payoff from your client, as far as not the money they're paying you, but the result, there is no root cause being healed. There's nothing, there's no breakthrough happening from the therapy. It's because you're spinning around the symptom. And reading the same script 5 times in 5 separate sessions with homework and audios will not fix that. Spinning around the symptom is spinning around the symptom. Sessions are taking too long. You're still spinning around the symptom. There's an idea out there where therapists will tell me they need like 6 or 7 hours in one day to do therapy to fix multiple things. Why? Why do you need so much time? Once you find the root cause and you help heal it, results can happen very, very quickly. And some of you might have dipped your toes into this wonderful place where therapy happens really quick. And you turn around and go, wow, I was prepping for 2 hours for this and this took 5 minutes to heal my client. How did that happen? That's because you found the root cause in the past. You may not know it and you've healed your client. Healing can happen very, very quickly. But again, if we're forcing, we're not using natural trances, we're using techniques instead of principles. Sessions take too long, you're spinning around the symptom. Multiple sessions and homework, guys, the repetition model of symptoms, as we talked about. If you're getting refunds, bad testimonials, there's no pay. If you're really getting nothing from your clients and you can't even sell your sessions at the cheapest price possible, nothing's really happening, it's because you'll keep solving the symptom, okay? Again, if you look at your script and it says stop smoking at the top, or you look at your regression and it says regressions are best for this, or timeline techniques are best for this type of problem, you are solving the symptom. It's all about guessing. And think of the pressure you're putting on yourself, guys, to find the right script, the right technique. All of these things are impossible to ever think about or ever guess or ever prepare for. Why? Because you don't need to, because we're not solving the symptom, guys. Okay, we're not solving the root cause or the payoff. And you, like I said, pressure on the therapist for forcing versus natural. If you've ever sat in front of your client, even with everything prepared, and you're still nervous, you're still trying to figure, you're still trying to solve the problem, you feel pressure on yourself to get results, you're in the wrong place as a very extraordinary therapist. We need to do the opposite. The opposite is just doing all the stuff we talked about here, guys, taking the pressure off yourself. Next, let's look at traditional versus speed, guys. What we call the traditional red ocean model does not scale, okay? The more traditional red ocean is multiple clients per month at a very low price. And everyone says, well, what's that normal price? Ask 10 hypnotists or hypnotherapists, and they'll tell you about $100 to $150 per client. Now, if you turn around and say, Scott, I want to earn 10 grand a month, which I want you guys to, I want you to be successful. So you should, okay? Do the maths then. If you're only charging $100 per client and I want 10 grand a month, that's a lot of clients per month and you will run out of time. You'll run out of momentum. The traditional red ocean model, and by red ocean, we mean that this is what every therapist out there does. They charge for the same thing at the same price, the same niches, the same marketing, same. But they think because their website is a little bit different or the name of their funnel is a little bit different or they think they've deserved it, or they deserve it more than everybody else because they've done all the mindset stuff, that everything should be different. I'm pretty sure there's a saying about that. You guys know what I'm talking about, doing the same thing over and over, expecting different results. You've got to look at the economics and the maths or sort of work backwards. If you want to do 10 grand a month, you've got to work out how much hours per the week can I actually see clients with all the other hours going into something that we call 80-20 rule. Believe it or not, as a hypnotherapist or a therapist or a hypnotist, whatever you are, healing, even a coach, your time needs to be divided up into 80% promotion, 20% client time. Why? Because that fits the economics perfectly. Now, if you're thinking, well, Scott, I don't like doing social media, I don't want to do the marketing, all that stuff, impossible to run a business, guys. If you're just using hypnosis as a hobby or you want to just use therapy as a hobby, that's fine. These points will still work exceptionally well for you. But when it comes to building the business, 80-20 rule, understanding where 80% of my time goes is going to be on the promotion and the marketing, 20% of my time with clients. If I've only got 20% time with my clients, I have to charge a very high amount. And what this does, guys, by charging a very high amount, it puts you in what we call a blue ocean. It helps you stand out. You might think, Scott, hang on, if I'm more expensive, how will I stand out? Let me make that point, guys. Clients pay more for speed. It creates differentiation, also a blue ocean. If you've ever gone to an expert before and wondered why they charge so much, it gets your attention. But if I'm a therapist or a hypnotist, whatever, who only charges $100, and Joe Bloggs, who's a potential client of mine, comes to me and says, Scott, how much do you charge? And I say $100, quit smoking. And then Joe goes, okay, well, I could pay you $100, but I could also go down to Jane Bloggs, who charges $95, and she's a hypnotherapist. I think they're all the same. I'll just go with her, or I might wait to a summer special because I know she has 50% off. That's the thinking of your potential clients. But when you're charging more, you're going to see less clients and you have more time to attract those clients who want to pay or will pay and are willing to pay those higher prices. And I'll talk about that very, very soon. But I also add speed. Believe it or not, guys, higher price clients create quality breakthroughs. They're a better quality client. I know when I was charging very high prices as a therapist, the quality of my clients was incredible. I didn't have to do much at all because there's so much skin in the game. But alternatively, when I was doing the $50, $80, $100, not only was my business scale, I was basically broke, but the quality of my clients was poor. Low prices creates resistance. Low prices created complaining clients, whinging all the time, not showing up on time, not sending me referrals. The breakthroughs took so long, no matter how much therapy I threw at them, nothing happened because they weren't committed. There's no skin in the game, guys. Okay. So tradition versus speed, you want to be banking on the speed model, guys. You have to differentiate who you are. There's got to be a blue ocean. You're having a higher price going to give you higher quality clients. So let me recap right here, guys. That's one of the main points I want to point out now. The next point after this is extremely important because this will wrap this all up. Hypnosis versus hypnotherapy versus therapy, guys. Don't get lost in the shiny object. Understand symptoms and payoff. Therapy first, not the hypnosis. Remember, when you're forcing a client down a technique or a script, you're not only solving the symptom, but you're going to create a lot of resistance. If clients don't follow along, what do you do then? You've sort of blocked them into a corner. You can't prep for this stuff, guys. Let's be honest. It says it right at the top of your script. This is a symptom script. Technique solves symptoms, guys. No matter who teaches it or what it's called, script solves symptoms. No matter who teaches it or what it's called or where you download it, how much you paid for it, it's still solving the symptom. You're essentially hoping that the mentor or someone who bought this off is going to be able to heal your client for you by writing down words when they have no idea who your client is or how you're going to use it. It's not in the words. And remember, we do the therapy, not the hypnosis part. And that's all scripts and techniques do, which is going to be the hypnosis part, okay? Symptom versus payoff, guys. All clients are not the same. Like I said, it's going to trigger resistance. No prep. You can't prep for this stuff, guys. The scripts, follow the hypnosis approach, the technique, the regression, the timeline. You might be thinking, well, Scott, I put them into hypnosis so they're deep in trance, then I apply the technique. Notice the way you've said it there or what you're doing. You're applying something. You're trying to solve the problem. That's not your job. Your job is to help the unconscious mind solve it for them, put them in a place where the unconscious mind can solve it. Anytime you're trying to solve the problem, notice how much pressure you're putting on yourself to try and fix things. Not a very good place as a therapist. For doing multiple sessions, doing the repetition model, think about how can I do multiple mini sessions in the one place because the context is already created. So when I send my client home, they're a winner and it's been solved and I don't have to see them again, then I can get onto my 80-20 rule, which is to promote my business to get my next paying client, charge a higher price because now I can apply speed, while every other therapist and coach and NLP, a hypnotherapist, whatever you call yourself, is out there selling packages and programs and sessions. You can just sell speed at a higher price and get your clients a result extremely quickly. Okay, and like I said, higher quality, higher price clients create higher quality. So how do you master all this stuff, guys? This is all good in theory, but how do you apply this stuff so it can actually work for you? Well, this is why I want to talk about our next 3-day advanced conversation hypnosis training coming up in January 2025. I'll leave all the links below, leave some resources, leave some further video guys for you to check out. This is a 3-day therapy training. Now, yes, we use the name conversational hypnosis, advanced conversational hypnosis. That's just purely for marketing, but it's 3 days of therapy, no scripts, no forced techniques, no dealing with symptoms, no forcing clients down certain techniques and scripts and whatnot. All the stuff we talked about, none of that stuff. This also includes inside the training itself. So when you're a part of this program, you get access to over 200 hours of our online training, which is all our past ACH trainings. In the trainings themselves, what makes them so differentiated, and so special and so remarkable when it comes to teaching these therapists or these hypnotists to learn our version of therapy is we teach this via demos. Believe it or not, all the online training that we have that you get as a part of this program, I'll leave all those details below, you'll be able to read it for yourself. There's over 30 full ACH demos from start to finish. There's no other training on the planet where you're going to not only learn by demos, which is 3 days just of demos. We try and get anywhere between like 5 to 7 demos per 3 days, which is a lot, because a lot of it's going to be taught by lectures, reading, speculation, role plays, reading scripts, going through the scripts. I mean, you guys already know how to read. What do you need to spend a whole 3 days learning how to read for? You're learning how to do the therapy, and we learn this via actual demos, not via role play or speculation, or if I do this, my client will say this, because that's pointless in the real world, guys, okay? So there's over 30 full demos, everything from anxiety, stop smoking, weight loss, confidence, business, everything you basically think. I can't think of any more off the top of my head. There's over 30 full demos, guys, and more to come with the next upcoming training, which is going to be the live training. This is a complete therapy system, guys, not a tool, okay? So a lot of people learn something new and say, well, I've added this tool to my toolbox. This is a complete therapy system. And the reason it's a complete therapy system, because by the end of it, not only will you never have to worry about these points I've talked about now, but you never have to worry about learning more hypnosis. Learning another hypnosis course won't make you a better therapist, just repeating the same thing. no matter who teaches you, what mentors talk about it, it's the same thing. There's nothing new in the hypnosis world. It's got a different name. It might look different, but the principles remain the same. It's forcing clients into hypnosis. And the good thing about this, guys, even if you're a beginner, we go from the beginning stages of advanced conversation hypnosis all the way to being extremely advanced in that 3 days. Okay. So again, this is for therapists, this is for hypnotherapists, coaches, NLP hypnotists, stage hypnotists, whatever you call yourself. If you want to learn therapy to not only get fast breakthroughs, charge more, because that's going to be part of the training, which is our full sales training. You may as well turn this into a business, right? You want to turn this into something you can live off. Why not? You want to be charging for your clients. And learning how to put this all together in a simple system to earn a lot of money as a therapist, but also get faster breakthrough with your client, stop the resistance, not having to worry about spinning around the symptoms, the multiple sessions, the bad testimonials, refunds, all the stuff we talked about here. You get away from all of that. Come and learn our 3-day ACH training, guys. Okay. So hopefully that was informative. That's all the principles I want to talk about. I will leave those links below, guys. Look forward to seeing you in the training. Bye for now.